Two paint manufacturers that want to wipe out potentially hundreds of millions of dollars in legal obligations could send the issue to the voter. Sherwin Williams and Conagra could have enough signatures, today to put their initiative on California's November ballot. The manufacturers want to dedicate taxpayer money to remove lead paint from homes and schools. Now, this measure would undo a pricey court ruling that holds them accountable for selling the toxic paint. John Blackstone shows us why some accuse the paint makers of brushing off responsibility.
When Brandy and Joseph Glazier purchased their Fairfield, California home 4 years ago, it seemed like the perfect place to raise their 3 children. A year after moving in, their youngest son, Andrew, went to the doctor for a routine checkup.
They called me and said he had elevated lead levels. We were like, what do you mean? Like, how is that possible?
The Glaziers found out that old lead-based paint in the home, built in 1927, was contaminating much of the house.
Well, the windowsill tested positive for lead paint. And he was just sitting there watching for Daddy and got sick.
The Glaziers said Andrew's lead levels were more than 4 times what's considered elevated.
Was there sort of guilt as a parent? Did you...
Can't even describe it.
Oh, yeah.
Lead poisoning can cause lifelong behavior and learning problems, lower IQ, and slowed growth. It's a problem in older homes that's at the heart of a lawsuit against some of the companies that made and sold lead paint.
Every 5-year-old knows that if you make a mess, you should clean it up. They need to clean up their mess.
Mary Alexander is one of the attorneys in a lawsuit filed by 10 California municipalities back in 2000.
The lead paint companies knew that lead that they put in their paint was dangerous, toxic to children.
Sherwin Williams and Conagra deny Alexander's claim. In a statement, a spokesperson on behalf of the companies told CBS News that's false, and the trial court acknowledged that point, citing a 2014 court ruling that said the state of knowledge about lead paint's health hazards was admittedly in its nascent or beginning stage. But in its summary decision, the same court said defendants, to varying degrees, sold lead paint with actual and constructive knowledge that it was harmful. Last year, an appeals court ordered Sherwin Williams and Conagra to pay the cost of fixing homes with lead paint hazards built before 1951.
The paint companies are now taking an entirely different approach to trying to win this case.
So to get out of this responsibility, they have filed an initiative and they collected signatures.
Sherwin Williams and Conagra are now backing California's Healthy Homes and School Bond Act. The initiative would order the rehabilitation of homes and schools with potential health risks, including lead paint. It would cost taxpayers an estimated $4 billion and excuse the paint companies from liability imposed in the suit.
This is not an avoidance of liability under the case.
Jones Day partner Tony Diaz represents Sherwin Williams.
The purpose of this initiative is to make that lawsuit void, make that decision void.
The ballot initiative will be voted on by people. Individuals, homeowners, and residents of low-income housing are concerned about what the impact will be of this case.
In the same statement, the spokesperson representing Sherwin Williams and Conagra said, yes, the ballot measure impacts the companies, but also protects millions of homeowners who could now be faced with a public nuisance label on their home. But not all agree.
The paint companies are fear-mongering and trying to scare homeowners. The court decision specifically says that that's not true.
Randy and Joseph say they've repainted their home, and Andrew, now 4, has shown no symptoms of lead poisoning so far.
What are your concerns for the future?
They said that they don't know what the lead can actually do to him, or if he's going to have effects. They have no idea.
For CBS This Morning, John Blackstone, Fairfield, California.
So you have?
Sherwin Williams and Conagra say that they're working with lawmakers and local jurisdictions on a possible statewide legislative solution in the place of the ballot initiative. The proposal would undo the lawsuit and require all companies that manufactured lead paint in California to contribute a total of $500 million into a 10-year lead paint abatement fund for homeowners statewide. Sherwin Williams and Conagra would be responsible for nearly $170 million of that. You remember last week we had the author on who discovered the problem with the lead
in the Flint water.
In Flint water. So we know how damaging this lead stuff is.
There have been federal regulations on this because homes before 1978 were using lead paint. So if you buy an older home, you should test that home. And there are allowances made that you can have 10 days to have an inspection of the home.
Good information.